Hey guys, it's Nick the Booksmith. Welcome back, welcome back. So today, I thought I'd give you a little update on the recovering of my friend's family Bible. I got a little distracted with life and stuff. And one day I turned around and I looked, I was like, yeah, I really need to finish that. So I'll show you what I'm working on today. A lot of what I had already done was to the inside of the book. There was a few leaves that were coming away from the binding, and the binding itself was fairly tight, but because all the paper and everything involved is over 200 years old, it's very brittle as far as the paper goes. So I have to be real careful, and I just want to get a new cover on everything so that it can be protected and as useful as possible to my friend and her family. So because the entire cover was disintegrating and the front and back covers were no longer attached to the binding itself, I had to fashion a new one, or I am fashioning a new one. And this piece here is going to be on the cover of the front because it's such a large book. A big expanse on the front was just too big. It was too much and a little too plain. So the original had just a plain red leather cover. I'll pop a picture in there. And as you can see, there's not really any embellishment to it. There's no title. So I thought perhaps it needed something like that. So I had some findings that I got out of my stash, and of course they were all different shades of metal. So what I did was I worked on making them all match. This is what these little corners right here, this is what they looked like to begin with. So a little too much shiny happy people for me. So I ended up base coating them in a matte Payne's gray, and then I brushed on some gold. And the gold I ended up using was the Martha Stewart, and this is just her gold, just the plain gold. And I didn't want it shiny because that's what that is. So this worked out really well. This is one of the Tim Holtz ornate plates, and it was actually, I would say copper, but it wasn't really copper. It was a dark mahogany red kind of a tinge, metal tinge. So it also had to be brushed with the gold. And then I had some of these corners, and I honestly don't remember where I got these. So if I remember, I will pop it underneath in the description box. So these were also they were this color. So they were just a little too dark. They're like an antique bronze. And then these are just some little brads that I ended up adding some gold to the end to, this brushed antique gold, so that everything would match. Now I'm not exactly sure what all I'm going to use, but I went ahead and got everything ready so that I could choose what I wanted. And then another thing I didn't know was what font did I want as far as the label on the front. So I did several, and I figured I would choose whichever one it was that I thought looked the best at the time. Because this little frame here has a little lower trade indention, I thought I would take some hand marbled paper, and that will be in this little middle indent in here. And I will probably cut this out and then back it on some craft card, something that fits in here, so that it'll have a little bit more structure. And then that way the label plate, the book plate and everything can be attached to the card before it's adhered to there. But I really like this green. I had gotten out a piece of this one, and as you can see, it didn't all come out well because it was kind of faded in some areas. as you can see. But there are several places where it's just fine and I could totally use it. But I thought it was a little bit too bright. I really, really dig the green. I'm just not sure. I'll just have to pick a spot. I think it's pretty just in general. So I'll just pick my favorite spot and then cut that out. So let me lay that there like that so you can kind of see what I'm working with. And then here is our little nameplate, and we could just take one of the fonts here. I tried to choose some of the older period fonts that would have been utilized at that time. So there's that one. And this one's a little bit more plain. Nothing wrong with that. Some of them are easier to read than others just due to the ornate flourishes of the fonts. Like this one's more flowery and flourishy. The capital letters are quite fluffy. And of course, everybody's going to have their favorite. There's six here, and font is very subjective. And depending on your personal preference and actually your personality, you will be drawn to some more than others. And some you may detest them. And that is perfectly natural. There's nothing wrong with that. So there's that one I'm really digging. I really like this one for some reason. I couldn't tell you why. And this one is probably my least favorite. And then there is that one. It looks okay behind the plate. I think my favorite is this one. Well, favorites. My top three will be that one, and this one. So those are my three favorites. If I had to choose, however, it's not going to actually be my favorite. I'm going to go with this middle one. Why? I don't know. I couldn't tell you exactly why. Well, I could tell you. So even though, where is it? This one is my favorite. On this one, I love the B, but I am not jazzed about the capital H. I don't like that one as well. And some of these older fonts, some of the capital letters did not look like a capital letter. Like the H's just look like lowercase h's. And then this one I think is too flowery. It's too hard to read. This one is too new looking. I do dig this one because I dig how simple it is, but maybe it's a little too simple. This one just seemed to be my happy medium. So I really like that one. It's easy to read, yet it's still very, very period-esque looking. So that is what I'm going to go with. And then, give me just a second, and I'm going to cut out a piece of this to fit in here so we can get the full preview of what it should look like, and then maybe we can make some decisions a little bit better that way. All right, I covered this craft card with this marble paper, and after a quick nip in the press, I didn't leave it in there long enough for the adhesive, it's just PVA, to dry, but it does crisp up the edges quite well. Okay, so now that that's kind of set, what I need to decide on are the corners. And I could go with these larger box corners, or I can pick them up. I could go with these smaller little filigree corners. The other thing I could do is I could put the big box corners on here and also do these on the corners of the front and the back book cover. And then I could also put these on these inner corners of the hand marbled paper. Insert. I could pick them up. How many fingernails? So those could go there. And then those, is that, I don't know, is that too much? It's kind of fluffy. I also have this little filigree jewelry finding. Talk about fluffy. But it is a grand old book. Maybe it could handle the ornate, wonderful wow of all the gold. I don't know. So that is what I am deciding today. Feel free to put your suggestions down in the comments section. I could just put those on the corners and just leave it a little less fluffy. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know what you guys think. I value your opinions and your input, so let me know what you think. Perhaps less is more, and sometimes more is more. No judgment. No judgment. I also have these, but I only have 3 of them. So that's not going to work because I'd have to go get another set, and Mama ate into that today. So I'm going to do with what I have. So let me know what you think. The little corners, and leave the box corners for perhaps the front and back cover of the Bible, you know, the big covers. Or go ahead and gild the lily and put these on these inner corners, and then box in the big guys on these corners. And then the third thing is this embellishment or no. Do we leave this off, or do we put it on there? So that's this is with, and that is without. Okay, well, I appreciate your input. If you decide to leave an opinion, I appreciate that, and I will let you know what happens, and I will keep you apprised of what is going on with the rebinding or recovering. It's not rebinding, it's just recovering. The binding was tight, and I wasn't going to take that apart, so it's recovering. And let me know what you think. I hope everybody is having a great weekend, and I will see you guys really, really soon in the next video. Bye, guys.